Hello, everybody, and welcome again for another special edition of the Radio Chat. Today, we have a special guest coming from the real estate industry, and I'm really excited to see the different perspective that he will share with us. Matt Skehan is a well known buyer's agent, the director of Azure Buyers Agents, a fiercely skilled competitor, negotiator, I should say, outstanding communicator, and a former physiotherapist. Matt, thank you very much for joining me today. And if we could start with a bit of your story and how did you get started in your business?
Yeah, no, well, firstly, thanks for having me on. So my journey started there's no traditional pathway to become a buyer's agent. I obviously, from school, went to university. I was a physio for almost 10 years.
Right.
But basically, my career trajectory would have, since 2009, the property bug bit me. I was looking to invest myself, but buying into the business at the time made me sort of firstly sit on the sidelines from not being able to get finance. It was the best thing that ever happened to me because I got educated, fell in love with property and property investing. So back in 2009, and fast forward, I had 6 properties in sort of over a 5-6 year period when I was still a physio.
Okay.
After setting myself up financially, loving what I was doing, already starting to mentor people, in the benefits of property and as a wealth creation sort of vehicle, I decided to change careers. And so before I started my own business, I did an apprenticeship at a bigger investment sort of advisory firm, and for almost 5 years, which is invaluable. To learn about the real estate process, the sales side of it, working alongside brokers and the whole spectrum, because property is a multidisciplinary field. So that was sort of my career path, and Azure Buyers Agents was born basically almost 12 months ago now. So sort of I've been going. So
right.
Yeah, it's
so when you first started, did you sort of got a mentor or a coach to sort of help you in that sort of direction, or you just sort of learn along the way?
In the property side, so I didn't have any physical mentors. I suppose more digital mentors, or whether it's from books, or it wasn't so much podcasts back then. It was it was sort of jumping on the property forums and everything like that. But even now though, fast forward, I do have a mentor for my business, and sort of a holistic sort of mentor, because I think being a sporting sort of athletic background too, coaching and having that accountability and someone to bounce off is really important. So I've always had people that I've been able to look up to, and I suppose bounce off as well.
Oh no, that's great. That's great. So look, if you sort of refer back to the Riddle board game, that's the whole theme of this chat. Like if you were to explain to a 12-year-old kid, what do you do in a very simple term? I mean, adult might know what you do as a buyer's agent, but if you were to explain that to a 12-year-old kid, what would that be?
I've got 2 kids. I've got a 3 and a 6-year-old, and
Okay.
what they say is that I help people buy houses. So I think that's probably as simple as it could be. So my 6-year-old son wants to become a buyer's agent, I think, obviously, because dad is. But short, simplistically, help people buy houses.
Okay, no, that's great. That's a great answer too. Yeah, I mean, I guess at that age, it's about them knowing to really expand their awareness about how property works and what buyer's agent really do. And that's why I brought that concept in the game. So it's about in the game, if you do it yourself, so there's a sort of a 50-50 chance of acquiring that property. Whereas if you seek a professional consultant to help you to find the right property or acquiring the property you want, potentially the likelihood of success will increase, right? Because he's the one that he's a professional expert in that sort of area, and he will know how to negotiate fiercely on your behalf. So that's the whole concept about, we've introduced in the game. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So essentially every day, what inspires you to do what you do in your business?
Yeah, it's a good question. As I said, having been a physio for a long time, motivated to really help guide and educate people, and property was just an extension of that passion. So, as my wife would attest to, I love property. I've sort of been chewing ear off for 1.5 decades. So I just get excited about helping people create wealth, even if that's buying a family home or buying an investment property. So it's a very tangible property as well, and actually getting a reward and as you said, being an expert, a professional. There's a lot of things that people buy a house once every 7 or 10 years. As a buyer's agent, I've bought hundreds and hundreds of properties. So transferring those skills to people to take away the stress, take away some of that emotion, and hopefully set them up for a better future. Really, that's what I get excited about.
Yeah, and that's what I guess you can't add all of these like you just described in the game, but at a simple and very basic concept, it's about helping the buyers increase the likelihood of acquiring a property that they really want. Like you say, all those skills. Yeah. You will be doing it every day. Yeah, correct. Whereas someone who is in the market, he might be buying a house every 10 years. They are not that really sharp to know how to really navigate that process. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. People aren't used to dealing with agents, so they don't really understand the process, that goes on behind the scenes. And as I said, so my job is to, again, sort of level that playing field, save time, money, and also get access to properties that they might not even be aware of as well. So, yeah, there's a whole world out there. So it's of opportunity, really.
So do you mainly deal with like off-market deals? Yeah, like having direct access to different sort of market?
It's definitely part of what I do. So it's not just that I say I deal with off market, but obviously that is part of the service. I've got an agent database, up around 1,000 or so. So if you get, a brief, if you're looking for certain areas, and it's picking up the phone, it's calling those relationships, and it's like anything. If you're a repeat buyer, if you're regular, and you sort of get that sort of insider trading, so to speak. It's different to shares, obviously, but it's just the way, if you're regular and you're around. So, yeah, it's part of what I do. It's not everything, because obviously it's got to be the right property, the right opportunity. But, it's just another way to increase your probability of finding the right property.
Yeah. I mean, I guess when we're seeing it in a very hot market, sometimes buyer's agent can have access to off-market deals before it even hits the market. So sometimes, like you say, you got access to good deals and you can get it quickly at a reasonable price for your own buyers. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Every day there's multiple properties and opportunities that we get presented before the average punter. So yeah, it's sort of that, again, that relationship that we bring, and that sort of awareness of, it's our full-time job to be aware of these opportunities for clients.
Yeah. No, excellent. So how are you seeing the current market like going at the moment? So where is it trending?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, again, it's I'm based in Victoria, Melbourne. Obviously, it's a big market, but in simple terms, obviously we've had a phenomenal run through COVID. A phenomenal amount of capital growth. Yeah, we're obviously seeing some pullback in that regard. It's really a two-tiered market. So what I mean by that is the properties that are ready to go, that have been renovated, that are presenting very well, are still in demand. But then the ones that are maybe not quite ticking the boxes are staying around a bit more. So I think it's a great opportunity if you're looking to enter the market, and for example, you're better off buying now than you were 12 months ago, because I think it's fascinating, and the ex-physio me is the psychology behind the people in the market. It's like people wait for that seagull to ship moment, and they fight over it, and then once all of a sudden they can get the pick of the bunch, those A-grade properties that are they sort of, it's hard to go against the grain, right? So I think the market at the moment, it's patchier, clearance rates and stocks lower, so there's opportunity, but again, it's still not easy to buy a good property, because as I said, there's not a lot of it. People don't give it away. I'm not really seeing any fire sales at the moment, Al. So yeah, it's a different market in different price pockets. There's obviously probably more nervous in the first time home buyer sort of area, because they haven't seen interest rates for a dozen years. So there's just that little bit of uncertainty. There's a lot of news media coverage. There's a lot of just
a lot of fear.
And fear sells, doesn't it, Al? Fear sells. So they're not going to print in the paper that everything's hunky dory. It's sort of status quo. It's sort of either it's the market's rising at this rate, or it's Armageddon. So that's where we are.
Okay. Yeah, because at the moment it seems like it's more of a buyer's market. So it's about finding the right property, finding the right house for
Mm.
for your requirements, isn't it? To the best possible
Yeah,
price you can get.
100%. Yeah, much more towards buyer. But in saying that, stock's still quite tight, but yeah, it definitely is more favourable than it has been, which is positive for people who want to. Because ultimately, property is a long term game and it's a long term vehicle for wealth creation, or if it's to live in. A lot of the commentary as well is very short term focused, and it's hard to look at it that way, right? Because even not all houses sell every month or every.
Mm.
So there's a lot of that short term focus, which again, just a lot of noise really out there at the moment. So.
Okay, okay. So do you come across a lot of development sites, like sites with development potentials like that?
100%, Alice.
Yeah.
Obviously, depending on what your client's looking for, but yeah, there is definitely those sort of properties and those sort of things out there. I think if you're open to a bit of work, or if you're there's probably even more of those in the off market sort of space as well. So yes, there is opportunities out there for that. So yeah, 100%. I think it's a great opportunity if you are looking for land, and because
Mm.
the prices have come back, and you're buying it locking it in at a cheaper rate, so that you can do what you need to do going forward.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah. So tell me something. So like, if you were to go back to teach your younger self, or teach your own kids, I mean, you got a couple of kids yourself. What would you teach them?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think not one to sort of yeah, yeah, to in terms of for me, it's just getting educated. I think it's the real key one. Like I've got a 6-year-old at the moment, a preppy. He loves school. He's hungry to learn, and I think that's something that's held me in good stead throughout. So I don't think I'd change anything. I think it's just a matter of being a sponge and absorbing as much information from different sorts of people as possible. So
Mm.
I think that's the old saying, knowledge is power type things.
Yeah.
So I think that's just really important. So because even my own career path, my own sort of decisions and choices have opened up some doors and given me different aspects and looks. So I don't think I'm a believer of you can't go back and change it. But I know my own kids, it is just learn and immerse yourself in different people, ask questions, be curious. Because I think if you're learning and if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room,
You're in
so
the
to
wrong room,
speak.
yeah.
So
Mm. It's
yeah,
it's
so I
like
think that's
it's always like having this sort of intellectual curiosity. So about finding how things work and why it works that way and so on. It's really trying to, like you say, keep learning and trying to find a solution to the problem.
yeah, 100%. I think that way, when there's turbulence or white water, so to speak, like at the moment you've got Armageddon in the headlines and all that. Well, if you understand the fundamentals and the why, I think you can sort of stay that course a bit more. So it's important to really be educated and yeah, just keep learning. As you said, curious. It's a really important trait to have for anyone who wants to become better at whatever they want to do.
Yeah, and that's the whole reason that me and my son, we sort of created this game. We brought it to life. It's about him very curious from his young age about what sort of stuff I do. But as a property developer, it's a bit hard to explain at a very conceptual level how things work and so on. And he might understand it for one day, and then the next day he'll forget about everything we've discussed. So that's the whole
Mm.
reason that I sort of come up with a concept. What about if we turn that into a game so that he keeps playing with a game and so on, that he learned those concepts on a regular basis whenever he plays a game, and that would sort of embedded into his subconscious mind.
I think it's a fantastic concept, and financial literacy, particularly in our it's not something you get taught, right? We don't,
Mm,
we don't get taught some of these basic fundamentals, and it's really really important. So
yeah,
my two career passions have been health literacy and financial literacy. And I think if you can understand those fundamentals, it's life skills that are important as
correct,
well,
correct,
right?
yeah,
Money management and balance in the books and everything else as well. So I think it's a great concept, and it's important
yeah.
to educate from earlier the better.
Yeah, that's right. I wish when I was in primary school, I would have that sort of opportunity, to start playing the Monopoly, the cash flow, the sort of, the type of game. That would really open up your perspective about how things work, in the financial world.
No, I think great. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's an important age to learn.
Yeah. Look, what sort of final words of wisdom you like to leave with us, especially you've been involved in the buyer's agency for quite some time. Any
Yeah,
final
so I think at the moment, it's sort of a few cliches, but it's sort of got to block the noise a little bit as well. Like, at the moment there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of speculation, there's a lot of commentary. It's even, for example, about interest rates, right? If you ask 10 different economists, you're going to get so many different opinions. So ultimately, I think you've got to just block out that noise. It's like we're horse racing at the moment. We've got those blinkers on.
Yeah.
Focus on playing the long game. I think is really important because for me, like property isn't a short-term vehicle for wealth for whatever other reason. But I think it is, just staying in your lane and looking at the long term and the fundamentals. Because I was reading something before I came on this, just off LinkedIn, and talking about migration numbers. They're through the roof at the moment, right? So obviously, property is shelter. It's an essential need. Where are those people going to live? We're already in a ridiculously tight rental market. So you can make the headlines what you want, but I think ultimately my advice at the moment is you sort of got to block that noise and curate sort of what you are listening to and sort of everyone is an expert in property, right? Like at barbecues, people have an opinion.
Yeah.
So you've got to be careful who you take your advice from, and ultimately got to back yourself, right? Which is the key. That's my sort of 2 cents.
Yeah, 100%. Especially like you say, property, it's a long-term game, right? So it's not just about buying it today and selling it for next year for small profit. That's speculation in mind, right? So that's pretty risky, right? But if you're going to hold it for the long term, like 7 years, 10 years, and so on, usually it's always up going.
Yeah, 100%.
Beautiful. Yeah. Look, how can people get in touch, in contact with you for your professional service if they want to contact you?
Yes, I'm happy to provide details to you, other things, but obviously you've got my business there, Azure Buyers Agents. So, even if you just jump on Facebook or LinkedIn, Google azurebuyeragents.com.au, AZURE, Buyers Agents. And I'm more than happy to have a chat. I'm passionate about what I do and love the educational element of it. So I think it's a good opportunity to come and speak to your audience today. So, I'd love more than happy to speak to anyone if they want to reach out and sort of pick my brain or have any questions property related as well.
Yeah, beautiful. Any final question or any question I could or I should have asked, but I didn't ask you as a final takeaway?
I think we've talked through most of it, Al. But I was just saying, for those of you who, again, probably might not be quite as familiar with a buyer's agent, I think there's sort of three things that I think we really do. We save people time, because the stats start, the average punter takes about 9 months to find a house and buy a house, which is a long time.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. Saving money, you commented on before, but being an expert in negotiation, agent speak as well is really important. Understanding, just the incentive behind it, and also we've touched on already access to sort of stock that isn't there, that's off market. So I suppose that's just some of the key points that I say to people who might be looking at using someone like myself. It's like it's like anything. You can go it alone to DIY it, but are you leaving money on the table? Could you do better? And that's the thing as well. So. But no, again, thanks for the opportunity to chat today to yourself and to your audience. So, appreciate it.
No, thank you for coming along as well, Matt. I really appreciate that. But we sort of, I will share your details as well for my audience. So if they want to get in contact with you, we'll do that. Yeah.